Ki ma ma ma. Welcome to Masters of Horror, based on a story by the Cult Film Showdown. I am Jim Cotta, hosting this run of Masters of Horror. We're taking a break from our search for the ultimate B movie to explore a TV series called Masters of Horror that ran in 2005 and 2006. I am joined by my co-host, Jack Hall.
Co, fa, fa. That does clear your throat. That feels better.
Ho, 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 co-host. Well, maybe save that one for the Christmas episodes.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And also, our old friend Nick Boxer is here.
Rock-a-doodle-doo. A run? Is that what we're calling what we're doing here? I call it a meander at best.
Well, we have
agree with whatever you just said.
Yeah, we have a general direction, but it's about the journey, not about the destination.
Like the episode we're about to watch. Meander, general direction.
So
that we're going to talk about here.
As I mentioned, we are watching a series called Masters of Horror. The series is available on Tubi in the U.S. And probably broadly available on other things, but we love Tubi, so we'll give them a plug. And episode 4, Jenifer with one N, and Jack's going to tell us who the Masters of Horror involved in this one are.
All right. Well, it does star Steven Weber, who also has a strong horror, despite being best known for Wings. As one of the stars of Wings, He has a strong horror credit.
Yeah, that Wings scared the shit out of me.
He has a strong horror credit as the lead in Stephen King's The Shining miniseries, and he wrote this and stars in it. But the true master of horror, and when we're talking masters of horror, this one there's no disputing. It's Dario Argento. He is arguably the greatest Giallo director of all time. Arguably,
I would go with that. Yeah.
He is certainly a top 10 all-time horror director, I believe. Probably a top 100 all-time director, maybe even top 50. He is. We talked about the last episode of Tobe Hooper, and you're like, well, that's his one masterpiece, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you're talking about Argento, and you're like, well, there's multiple masterpieces. He is a true legend, and 82 years old, still with us. Still, and the last thing he did was actually an acting credit.
He's got a new directing credit this year.
Is that out yet? It might be.
I don't know if it's out yet, but it is. It was released earlier this year.
I know it was coming to Shudder, so it might actually be there already. So
nice.
So that's that makes me want to look it up and just see if it's on there. But he's his kind of genius period is considered to be the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah.
And of course, this is in the early 2005. So this is maybe not where you would start with him, but it's certainly an interesting piece.
For sure, I haven't seen as much of Argento as I probably need to.
Dark Glasses, by the way, and it has just premiered on Shudder.
Fantastic! Oh, we love Shudder as well. Well, that's and who's our writer this time?
Steven Weber, who wrote it and starred in it.
I'll take it off because he's
mean you're talking about the
based on obvious.
You're talking it's based on a story by Bruce Jones.
Yeah.
Bruce Jones, a comic book writer. He wrote this for Creepy. This is it was drawn by Bernie Wrightson.
Neat.
It was an 8-page storyline. that they've turned into a full 50-minute movie. And maybe that's one of the things that we'll discuss, whether or not it was worth 50 minutes. But Bruce Jones is best known for writing The Incredible Hulk, but he also wrote one of my all-time favorite books in the early 80s. He did Kazar, the Savage, and that's a personal favorite.
Oh, neat. And 65 episodes of Dennis the Menace. In 1986. He must have been a co-creator of the series or something. He's credited on the whole series.
His 4 years with the Hulk, I think it was 4 years for about 2001 to 2005, something like that. It's probably his most well-known work.
All right. Well, Nick, tell us about the tale that ahead of us.
Tale. Well, I don't think this is going to be a long explanation because, yeah, it was a 8-page story. Stephen Weber is a cop, and on a stakeout or something, he just happens to see a man chasing a naked girl coming out of the woods. He jumps out of his car, shoots the guy, and just sort of takes the girl under his wing. Once he gets close enough to her, he sees that her face has been disfigured, and it's obvious that mentally she's not all there. He sort of puts her in the system, but he feels protective of her. So he gets her out of the system, takes her home, where it becomes sort of noticeable that she's not only not all there, but she starts doing things like eating cats and just bizarre behavior. Pretty soon, he develops an urge to have sexual relations with her in all sorts of manner. I think she has some sort of mystical power over it. Like, I cannot explain why he'd want to stick his dick in that thing.
I could only suspect that her vagina is magic.
Oh, I think this is a statement on this entire episode. I was like, is a statement on men's weakness for coochie.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, his relationship with her causes a downward spiral, and every time he sort of takes his eyes off her, something horrible happens, and the story sort of ends in a circular. Sort of begins where we or ends where we began. I was sort of disappointed with this one, this watch. I remember loving it when it first came out, but this is a long ass thing to watching it now. I was sort of like, I remembered it all better, but that could be because I remember the 8-page story better than I remembered watching this the first time around.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you started off describing it as a naked girl running through the woods and being chased by a man, and she's a naked girl who's wearing a dress. But I think that may be the only time she's not naked in the entire episode. So I understand your confusion.
She's
perhaps I should have said scantily clad.
Yeah, she's in like a nightie basically, but yeah, she's not afraid to show the goods. At one point,
the goods are great outside of that face.
I've rather possibly offensively. You're on your own if it's offensive. She may be the most perfect example of the butterface ever. She has a terrific body, and her face looks like Predator, and not figuratively either.
I also I was kind of wondering why none of the characters ever mention her eye.
Oh no, someone says that. His partner says that really early on. He's like, "What the hell's up with her eyes?"
Okay.
She has like
my
black
thing is
eyes, yeah.
you could explain the deformity with the deformity, but the eyes, there's no explaining that because they're just black. Human eyes aren't black.
So, do you guys think she's just a deformed person who, because she's deformed, grew up and became this beast? Or do you
No.
think she's actually like a demon?
I think she's a succubus of some sort.
Yeah, that was my take. That because everyone's instantly attracted to her, not just like even when they haven't seen her body yet. Like there's like he's very protective of her from the start for no like that it's further than just I saved her. It was like he brings her home. Like he doesn't like where she's staying, so he brings her home, not tries to get her into he doesn't leave her there until he finds a better place. He just checks her out.
Yeah. And he has a hot wife he gives up for her.
Yeah, like there's some early stuff of like something's not like their relationship with his wife is not the warmest. You know,
Yeah, but
their
she's
sex
hot.
life has hit a cold spot. They're in a down cycle.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a weird scene too. Felt out of place. Like there wasn't a lot of motivation to have that there.
It's like
Yeah.
there's never a lot of
Yeah.
motivation.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that's one of that's got to be one of your main Argento scenes in this. But the body horror is interesting. Yeah, like the idea that yeah, she is because at one point, you know, she's in his bedroom. They haven't started doing it yet, but his son walks in and he just says like she has really great cans or something.
Yeah, she's got a great rack.
Got a great rack.
Or a Morlock.
That is a line, and that is a terrific line. She has a great rack for a Morlock.
I do have to credit the actress because I mean, even she does have. I mean, even when she's dressed, and she has a very sexual quality about her performance outside of the nudity.
Yeah, she that actress didn't go on to do a whole ton. But she's one of those actresses. She had her, Carrie Ann Fleming. She had her. And she's had roles, but it's usually something like "Girl in the Parking Lot," type role.
Right.
She did do 12 episodes of iZombie, so the
Neat.
semi-regular. That's fairly recent, so that would be her probably highlight.
Yeah.
She's a Canadian actress who
Working in Vancouver actress. That's just
yeah, one of those Vancouver actresses, and she does a fine job. I mean, here's the thing about Argento. When it comes to the use of sound, he's among the greatest to ever do it. When it comes to the use of the camera, he's among the greatest to ever do it. When it comes to the use of color in film, he's among the greatest to ever do it. When it comes to things like having a rock solid plot, or or even getting strong performances from his actors, his actors are more like set pieces than they are actual characters.
I'll tell you my feelings on Dario Argento. If Godwin does the soundtrack, it's a good movie.
Yep.
If he doesn't, if Godwin or the lead singer of Godwin does not do the soundtrack, it's a piece of garbage.
Yeah, that's generally a very sound
I
way
mean,
to
even Argento's
judge.
good work, I tend to zone out, and when the music brings me back in, I watch, but I lose. I mean, even his good work, I lose. I have no idea what's going on until
No, you never do. It's not important. I mean, that's the thing is what's going on for an Argento movie is not important. He's creating a dreamlike atmosphere, and because of the way he uses the camera, um, usually in his films, you feel complicit to the crimes, and that's what's horrifying. And you combine that with the sound and the colors and the different things, then the use of the camera to make you feel like you're part of you're 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 doing what the murderer is doing. You're feeling like you're part of it. You feel responsible almost. That's and when he's on his best, that's what he manages to do.
Not to mention, you do feel complicit because his daughter stars in a lot of them, and she's naked for the whole thing.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is
a
the creep
whole other.
factor
That's
His
a whole
daughter,
other.
that adds
I remember
on to his
watching the
whole
first time I
aesthetic.
saw a movie with Asia Argento that he directed, and she gets nude, and I'm going, is he on set during this? Because I'm terribly uncomfortable. And then I realized, they're Italian. A lot of it you can just go, they're Italian. They think differently about this stuff. Italian in the French.
It's art, so you get to do anything you want.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
Asia Argento was a attractive lady, though.
Indeed,
So
and a director in her own right.
That's right. That's right.
I I quite like this one. I think I like the Twilight Zone-y circular ending to it. I liked the amount of nudity in it. I liked it had a strong creep factor. And
it's the only one that had a couple cuts that they ever did. Had two things cut.
Interesting, because
oral sex scenes.
Oh, okay. Were those? Did those end up on the DVD release? Because I noticed the DVD release has a longer time.
As deleted scenes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe I saw them because I remember watching this thinking, there's a basement scene missing in this.
Yeah.
Because I think
she eats young
problem
Jack's
for me
penis.
with this watch was we went straight from the cat to the killing of the little girl. And that should have been enough to shock him out of whatever hypnotic state he was. It was a rather quick ramp up there. We needed another sex scene right in between there.
I think to me that's what changes it from that she's a disfigured person to she's something else, is that she kills a kid and he covers it up.
Yeah. And by the way, apparently the parents don't care because you never see them. There's never any police investigating.
He leaves pretty fast.
Kid is gone, and they're like, you know what? We got another kid.
He bails pretty fast. He basically throws away his life to live in a cabin with her again for her magic vagina.
I need a job. I'm like, I thought you were a police officer. Nope. I need a job. I'm working. I'll work part-time in a grocery store. It jumps around. It's Argento.
That again, that goes to my reading of it, that he has run away with her. Like there's no covering that part up. They're gonna find her. They're gonna look for her for sure. So he's like, he doesn't even tell anyone his last name from that point on. Like he takes him at least a day to tell his boss his own name, just his first name, which I thought was hilarious. That it's clearly at least his second day and no one has learned his name.
So he just drives up to the woods, and luckily he happens to find an abandoned cabin. Just sometimes, somebody's looking out for you.
Yeah. It's not much of a cabin, but it's got walls. It's got a river next door, so that's all right. Light, yeah.
Did anyone feel the sexual tension between him and his new boss of the grocery store was a little odd and a little thick?
No, actually, I thought it was the only reason why the succubus character would do what it did. Later.
Yeah, I feel like it didn't pay off the way that I thought it was going to go, but I think it was this last moment of my reading of that bit is that it was the last moment of what am I actually doing? This isn't a relationship.
Where she's 12 feet away from him and looking directly at him. where he turns, looks directly at her, and yet doesn't see her.
That's hilarious. I thought like, oh, she's got a hoodie on, so she's like really hiding her face. She turns, no, not even a little bit.
No, it's not
But
like
one of the best
the
views of her
hair
face
is
we
over.
get. One of the best views of her face we get in the entire episode is the entire mini movie here is that shot where she's she's like 5 steps away from him. Um, Not the finest directing moment, but
But it does. But it's interesting though, because you talk about how you enjoy it, and for me, I can appreciate the Argento's the dreamy feel that he gives it. But as far as like the um, actual, I mean, when again we talk about Argento, we talk about music, camera work, color, and none of those things were really special in this.
hmm,
So I mean, it's interesting to me that you enjoy it because I mean, I'm thinking to myself, you admitted you haven't seen as much Argento as you probably should. It's probably going to get you to watch more, I'm
it
guessing.
is, yeah, absolutely
and
for sure.
and so that's the success of it, is the idea that this may not be peak Argento, but the idea that it would at the time and even now to get people to go back and look into his history and watch Deep Red or something like that, or you know, so many
Mhm.
genius pieces. The idea that it could successfully do that is makes it a success.
Yeah, I mean, it's a short piece, so of course you've got like it's a bit more accessible than committing to a full movie. I just always love Steven Weber. I don't know something about. I think it is because of Wings, but it's like he's been my guy my whole life. Like I just like enjoy him in everything I see him in, and I I think it's the tone of this is really the big thing. Like just the way that Steven Weber devolves throughout, where like he's like his clothes get more disheveled, his eyes get darker, and the bags under them get bigger. Like it's like she's not sucking life out of him literally, but figurative she is. Like he's destroying. He's given up everything. It's destroyed his life.
Yeah,
Um,
it's the little bits of this that sort of make it work. Like the her offering to share the cat guts with him, and just those little touches that make this work. Otherwise, it really wouldn't. It would be just sort of a slasher thing, or
the other terrible thought I had is when they were at the cabin and she's riding him and he's clearly in more ecstasy than he's ever been in when he's with her and then I'm like what if her looks go though. I mean if she's filling
Ah,
up on small children and cats she can't maintain that body forever.
ah.
I also had a thought that you know how in the movies you get the librarian where usually she takes her glasses off, lets her hair down, and she's you know um, and she's suddenly hot. I wondered if you tied her hair back and put some glasses on, if like if the magic could work in reverse for Jenifer. Well, this was an interesting tale, and
Out of
an
10, out of
interesting
10,
mix of
Nick.
masters.
out of 10. I am going to go with a 7.23. The cat that's got me up from the 7.13.
The
Mm.
cat thing is
A
brilliant
full
because
point
she
10.
literally she's like so excited to be able to offer him these cat guts. By the way, for a cat that weighed about I don't know 8 pounds, that was an awful lot of guts inside of it.
It's like a German Shepherd size
Helping
amount of gore for a skinny
for
house
the
cat.
little cat.
Um,
6.14 for me.
I I I I subscribe to the Michael Bay rule of you never kill the pet. So the cat actually puts me down a bit. She could have if she had killed the kid first, I actually wouldn't care because that's just the way people are. Um, that if there's if it's an animal that you kill, there's part of your brain that doesn't. I mean, you're not going to see that animal again in another movie. So there is a part of your brain that doesn't accept that. That's
Whoa. You didn't check IMDb to see what other
I didn't.
what other movies this cat might have been in?
I'm assuming it's just a Vancouver working cat. And
if you didn't do your research, man, that could be a famous cat.
There'll be an X-Files. There'll be a couple of Smallvilles. There'll be a Supernatural. That's just the life of a working cat actor in Vancouver. All right.
So what out of 10 were you giving it there, Jim?
I would have given it a 7, but then the cat thing knocks it down to a 6.9.
6.9. Okay. Nick, you've seen Argento. I mean, I know that you've had deep runs into the Gallo genre. So if you're going to recommend to Jim or to listeners, a couple of Argento, what would you personally recommend?
I like Deep Red. I like Suspiria. On a whole, actually, once I discovered that it was maybe Goblin that I was enjoying more than the actual movies, I sort of got off him and sort of discovered that Mario Bava was probably the superior filmmaker of the time. But that's personal taste.
I mean, I think Suspiria is his masterpiece, definitely. So I don't know if I'd go to that first. But yeah, Deep Red is Tenebra.
It's the most stylish, so.
It is the most stylish, and it does deserve. I mean, if you can watch it in, most high fidelity possible, definitely.
Just don't watch the remake.
I avoided it, but like the plague, that remake that came out 2016 or whatever. Yeah.
I think there was another one just this year too, though.
Well, as long as Argento's getting a chunk each time, then keep at it. I can.
Why not?
A movie can exist, and I don't have to watch it. And
his daughter's hot, so.
Yeah, and his daughter's hot. He runs a antique collectibles type of horror type of shop in Italy. So we can actually go visit the man. We can actually go to his shop and buy stuff, and there's a chance he's going to be there. So I mean, road trip to Italy, everybody.
Yeah. We'll just pile into your car and go. I love it.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll just drive over there.
Yeah. Nick, will you pitch in on gas?
Sure.
All right. We're the Cult Film Showdown, and we are on Instagram, and you can support us on Patreon, and we're on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. And we are sponsored by WeTalkPodcast.com, the home of the Octagon, our search for the ultimate B movie. We Talk Podcasts is on Facebook, and they are on Twitter. So you can definitely keep up with us, any of your favorite platform. And we are continuing through the Masters of Horror. Our next episode will be season 1, episode 5, called Chocolate, by Mick Garris. Directed by Mick Garris. We'll find out more about him next time.
Who created?
Also created the Masters of Horror series, the showrunner on this. And any last words, Jack and Nick?
6.1.
Yeah.
The last word sounds so final.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Are we not doing another one of these? I think these. I mean, I'm enjoying these. I hope people are enjoying them. I think that they've been a success 4 episodes in, so keep doing them.
All right. You'll hear us next time.